Good evening. This is Akashvani. I am Valsa Williams with the news at 9. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address Summit of the Future at United Nations General Assembly in New York in a short while from now. Groundbreaking Pact for the Future adopted at the summit to reshape global governance. Campaigning ends for second phase of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir. Polling for 26 assembly constituencies to take place on Wednesday. Government to install 1 lakh 4G mobile towers by next year. At least 274 people killed and over 1,000 injured in Israeli strikes across Lebanon. And domestic benchmark equity indices, Sensex and Nifty close at fresh all-time high levels. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the Summit of the Future, the United Nations General Assembly UNGA, in New York in a short while from now. The theme of the summit is Multilateral Solutions for a Better Tomorrow. Several global leaders are expected to take part in the summit. And the Prime Minister has started addressing the summit at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Let's go live to listen to the Prime Minister's address.
Friends, जब हम ग्लोबल फ्यूचर की बात कर रहे हैं तो ह्यूमन सेंट्रिक अप्रोच सर्वप्रथम होनी चाहिए। सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट को प्राथमिकता देते हुए हमें मानव कल्याण, फूड, हेल्थ सिक्योरिटी ये भी सुनिश्चित करनी होगी। भारत में 250 मिलियन लोगों को गरीबी से बाहर निकालकर हमने यह दिखाया है कि सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट कैन बी सक्सेसफुल। सक्सेस का हमारा यह अनुभव हम ग्लोबल साउथ के साथ साझा करने के लिए तैयार हैं। फ्रेंड्स, success of humanity lies in our collective strength, not in the battlefield.
Meanwhile, the UNGA at the ongoing summit has adopted the Pact for the Future, an ambitious and far-reaching agreement designed to reshape global governance for the challenges of the 21st century. Our correspondent covering the Prime Minister's visit has filed this report.
Here in New York, the United Nations two-day Summit of the Future is underway at the UN headquarters. The UN Summit of the Future, SOTF, is a once-in-a-generation opportunity aiming to strengthen global governance for the sake of the present and future generations. It's a unique opportunity and imperative to recognize the rights and needs of future generations and to include them at every decision-making level. The 5 main pillars of the SOTF are sustainable development and financing for development, international peace and security, science, technology, innovation and digital cooperation, youth and future generations, and transforming global governance. Yesterday, on the first day of the summit, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a Pact for the Future, which UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres described as a landmark agreement and a step change towards more effective, inclusive, and networked multilateralism. The blueprint aims to enhance global cooperation on peace, climate, digital issues, and crucially, the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. From New York, Himani Rana for Akashvani News.
Prime Minister Modi is also likely to hold bilateral meetings with several world leaders on the sidelines of the summit. Yesterday, on the second day of his visit to the United States, the Prime Minister interacted with tech industry leaders at a roundtable meeting in New York. The CEOs expressed their strong interest in investing and collaborating with India. Campaigning for the second phase of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir ended this evening. 26 assembly constituencies will go to polls in this phase on Wednesday. Assembly elections in the Union Territory are being conducted in 3 phases. Our correspondent reports that all necessary arrangements have been made to ensure free, fair and smooth polling in the second phase.
The stage is all set for the second phase of the polling scheduled for day after tomorrow. In this phase, 15 constituencies of Central Kashmir districts, including Srinagar, Ganderbal and Badgam district, along with 11 seats of 3 districts, Poonch, Rajouri and Riyasi of Jammu region, will go to polls. 25,78,099 voters will decide the political fate of 239 candidates in this phase. The main faces among them being former Chief Minister Umar Abdullah, Pradesh Congress Committee UT Chief Tariq Hamid Kara and Apni Party President Altaf Bukhari. Sunil Kohl, Akashvani News, Srinagar.
Meanwhile, campaigning has intensified for the single-phase assembly polls in Haryana. Voting for the 90-member state assembly will be held on the 5th of October. Senior BJP leader and Home Minister Amit Shah today addressed public meetings in Tohana and Jagadri assembly constituencies. Mr. Shah accused the Congress of being against reservation for the scheduled castes.
दलित नेताओं का अपमान करने का काम कांग्रेस पार्टी ने किया और आम्बेडकर जी जब तक कांग्रेस की सरकार नहीं गई बाबा आम्बेडकर को भारत रत्न नहीं मिला और भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने 5 तीर्थ आम्बेडकर जी के लिए बनाए और संविधान दिन मनाने की घोषणा की.
On the other hand, Congress leader and former Chief Minister Bhupinder Singh Hooda addressed the election rally in Ambala city. Mr. Hooda criticized the central and state governments, claiming that since 2014, Haryana has seen a rise in crime and drug addiction, with increasing crimes against scheduled castes. An Election Commission of India team, led by Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar, today held discussions with political parties ahead of assembly elections in Jharkhand. Representatives of 6 national parties, including BJP, Congress and CPIM, and 3 regional parties, JMM, RJD and AJSU, gave their views and submitted their representation to the Election Commission. After meeting with political parties, the Election Commission team held a meeting with officers of enforcement agencies to ensure trouble-free assembly elections. The 2-day 10th Commonwealth Parliamentary Association CPA India Region Conference began in New Delhi today. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, who is also the chairperson of the CPA India region, is chairing the meeting. The theme of the conference is the role of legislative bodies in the attainment of sustainable and inclusive development. Speaking on the occasion, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla stressed the need to further strengthen the legislative bodies of the country to meet the expectations and aspirations of the people in the view of the changing scenario. This is Akashvani giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our X handle at AIR News Alerts. Union Minister for Communications Jyotiraditya Scindia today said the government has set a target of installing 1 lakh 4G mobile towers by mid-term of next year. He said out of the set target, a total of 36,574 4G mobile towers have been installed so far. Mr. Scindia was briefing media on the achievements of his ministry during the first 100 days of the third term of the NDA government. He added that India has become the fastest 5G rollout nation in the world, and around 4.5 lakh 5G-based transceiver stations have been installed across the country. The minister said this technology has reached almost all districts of the country, and as of today, 97% of the urban areas and 80% of the population have been covered under 4G network.
भारत छठवां देश बन चुका है विश्व में जिसने अपना स्वतः 4G स्टैक का उत्पादन और प्रूवन ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड बना लिया है. इस 4G स्टैक में सारे भारतीय कंपनी अगले साल के मध्य तक 1 लाख टावर 4G के भारतीय टेक्नोलॉजी के आधार पर पूरे देश में सेटअप किए जाएंगे, जिसमें से 36,574 टावर्स के इंस्टॉलेशन आज के दिनांक तक हो चुके हैं.
Union Power Minister Manohar Lal addressed a press conference in New Delhi listing out 100 days achievements of his ministry. He said 1 lakh charging stations for electric vehicles will be installed across the country by 2030. The minister said a total of 34,000 charging stations are operational in the country. He said the government has set a target to provide electricity to 1,24,000 particularly vulnerable tribal households under Pradhan Mantri Janjati Adivasi Nyay Maha Abhiyan PM Janman.
जो हमारे पर्टिकुलरली वल्नरेबल ट्राइबल ग्रुप्स हैं, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पीएम जनमन योजना के अंतर्गत देश के रिमोट एरियाज में, ट्राइबल एरियाज में पावर की सप्लाई आखिरी छोर तक कैसे पहुंचे, इसका हमारा टारगेट 1,24,000 हमने इसकी जो योजना बना ली है। 83,596 ऐसे इलेक्ट्रीफाइड ये हो चुके हैं। शेष बचे 41,000 बहुत जल्दी पूरे कर लिए जाएंगे।
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has said Sainik schools are playing a vital role in strengthening the Indian Army. Speaking at the formal inaugural function of a new Sainik school in Jaipur today, he exuded confidence that the school will prove to be a boon to the youth of the state. He said it will provide proper guidance and necessary infrastructure to them to join the armed forces and serve the nation.
देश प्रेम की भावना से ओतप्रोत यहाँ के बच्चों के लिए तथा उन्हें भारत की सैन्य सेवाओं में जाने के लिए यह सैनिक स्कूल किसी वरदान से कम नहीं है। सरकार ने देश में 100 नए स्कूलों की स्थापना का लक्ष्य रखा है।
In international news, in Lebanon, at least 274 people have been killed and more than 1,000 wounded in Israeli strikes across the country on strongholds of Iran-backed group Hezbollah. The country's health ministry said in a statement that children, women and paramedics are among those killed and wounded in the attacks. Meanwhile, the Israeli military said it has carried out strikes on 800 targets in Lebanon, claiming they were weapons depots used by the Hezbollah. The Iran-backed group said in a statement that in response, it has fired dozens of rockets towards northern Israel. More from our correspondent.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, speaking from a military headquarters in Tel Aviv, stated that Israel is changing the security balance in the north of the country. He acknowledged that Israel faces complicated days ahead as it intensifies its operation against Hezbollah. The Israeli military described the operation as involving extensive and precise strikes against Hezbollah targets, not only in southern Lebanon, but also in eastern Bekaa Valley. They have reiterated calls for civilians to evacuate areas where Hezbollah is known to operate. This recent escalation marks the deadliest day in Lebanon since the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah reignited in October last year. This is Vinod Kumar for Akashvani News from Dubai.
National People's Power leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake was sworn in as the 9th executive president of Sri Lanka today. The cabinet of the new government is expected to take oath of office tomorrow. In his inaugural address, the president highlighted the importance of global cooperation for recovery of the fragile economy of the island. Domestic benchmark equity indices today closed at new lifetime high levels amid strong global cues. We have a report.
At close, the Sensex rose 384 points at 84,928 and the Nifty was up 148 points at 25,939. In the forex market today, Indian rupee closed at 83 rupees 55 paise against the US dollar. In the global crude market, Brent crude was trading 0.3% up at $74.78 per barrel when reports last came in. This is Lalema Aneja Dang for Akashvani News.
In our bilingual live phone-in program Public Speak tonight, we will bring an insightful discussion on Rashtriya Poshan Maah, promoting nutrition awareness and driving action towards building a healthier India. We will be joined in our studios by Dr. Rupali Malik from Safdarjung Hospital. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses... I beg your pardon. Now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses Summit of the Future at United Nations General Assembly in New York. Says success of humanity lies in our collective strength, not in the battlefield. Groundbreaking Pact for the Future adopted at the summit to reshape global governance. Campaigning ends the second phase of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir. Government to install 1 lakh 4G mobile towers by next year. At least 274 people killed and over 1,000 injured in Israeli strikes across Lebanon, and domestic benchmark equity indices, Sensex and Nifty close at fresh all-time high levels. That is all in the news at 9. Good night.